the teacher, the blessed one, the one beyond, full destroyer, completely perfected, fully awakened being, perfecting knowledge and good conduct, Sugata, know all the world, supreme guide of beings, teacher of gods and humans, to you the completely and fully awakened one, blessed one, the glorious conqueror, the subdue upon the Shakya plan, I prostrate, make offerings, and go for refuge. To the teacher, the blessed one, the one gone beyond, the full destroyer, the completely perfected, fully awakened being, perfecting knowledge and good conduct, Sugata, know of the word, supreme guide of beings to be tamed, teacher of gods and humans, to you the completely and fully awakened one, the blessed one, the glorious conqueror, the subdue upon the Shakya plan, I prostrate, make offerings, and go for refuge. To the teacher, the blessed one, the one gone beyond, the full destroyer, the completely perfected, fully awakened being, perfecting knowledge and good conduct, Sugata, know of the word, supreme guide of beings to be tamed, teacher of gods and humans, to you the completely and fully awakened one, the blessed one, the glorious conqueror, to subdue upon the Shakya crown, I prostrate, make offerings, and go for refuge. When a supreme among humans you are born on this earth, you paced out 7 strides and said, I am supreme in this world. To you who are wise then I prostrate. With the pure body's form supremely pure, wisdom motion like golden mountain, flame that blazes in the 3 worlds, we know the best, to you I prostrate. With the supreme signs, face like spotless moon, color like gold, to you I prostrate. You are immaculate, the 3 worlds are not. Incomparably wise one, to you I prostrate. The Savior having great compassion, the teacher having all understanding, the field of merit with qualities like a vast ocean, to you the one gone to dustness I prostrate. The purity which makes one free from attachment, the virtue which frees one from the lower realms, the one path, the sublime pure reality, to that Dharma which pacifies I prostrate. Those who are liberated and also show the path to liberation, the holy field qualified with realization, who are devoted to the moral precepts, to you the sublime community and virtue I prostrate. Do not commit any non-virtuous actions, perform only perfect virtuous actions. Subdue your mind thoroughly. This is the teaching of the Buddha. A star mirage, a flame of a lamp, an illusion, a drop of dew or bubble, a dream, a flash of lightning, a cloud. See conditioned things as such. Through these merits may sentient beings attain rank of overseeing, subdue the four forces, and be delivered from motion of suffering, of aging, sickness, and death.
Sanji Chono Soji Chono No Chanju Bando Nane Jazu Nagin Jeso Jebe Sonam Jendo La Penje Sanji Drugo Sanji Chono Soji Chono No Chanju Bando Nane Jazu Nagin Jeso Jebe Sonam Jendo La Penje Sanji Drugo Sanji Chono Soji Chono No Chanju Bando Nane Jazu Nagin Jeso Jebe Sonam Jendo La Penje Sanji Drugo.
I go for refuge into that enlightenment, to the Buddha, the Dharma, and Sangha. Through the merit I create by practicing giving and the other perfections, may I quickly attain the state of Buddhahood for the benefit of all sentient beings. I go for refuge until I'm enlightened, to the Buddha, the Dharma, and Sangha. Through the merit I create by practicing giving and the other perfections, may I quickly attain the state of Buddhahood for the benefit of all sentient beings. I go for refuge until I'm enlightened, to the Buddha, the Dharma, and Sangha. Through the merit I create by practicing giving and the other perfections, may I quickly attain the state of Buddhahood for the benefit of all sentient beings.
탐제게 말라 자아들은 데다 산제 좀 내야 되는 지시 번다 좀 양다 번조배 산제를 받아 셔존데 받아 वर्ष 번지된 좀 먼저 오늘 그간도 나나메 바하다 맨언제도 산제 좀 된데서 지시 받는 손은 답이 주도 개회자와 남은 주면서 제가를 되게 무슨은 제대로 지시 페이지에서 보는 게 세는 gem에도 제가 주요를 받은 돈은 되는 거 대변에 만나는 거 싫어 시기면도 또는 제가 신제 삼지 덤바 자주서 받는 게 파베 가서는 이제 뭐냐면 되고 저지도 들어가는 게 되고 이제 봐도 뭐 섬긴 되죠. 손남라다 바야냐 뭐 이제도 처음에 지고 고소만 배운데 받아서 뭐 소다게 녀와 먹고 좀 해봐도 말이고 또 내가 나가지고 부모도 나가지고 한번도 못 계제는 만담만 되바나 시는 제가 연도 동안도 나가지고 세번을 주고 주문을 게 지어도도 반대마다 맞으면 다다 주고 선제 좀 되는 게 있으면 내야 봐. 양은 내발라면 봐 양다반이 이제 다는데 심지어 담자는 집에서 나주고 돼야 되다는 선제 좀 되는 구체적인 내 양다반은 뭐고 답변은 어떻게 봐도 이제 어떻게 그래서 무슨 무슨 뭐만 여조자바 여조다바 여조 정원야 다보도 내가 주체가 매번 어떤 대동원을 되는 개발은 저소소랑 가지고 좀 내려고 sobie ciągle wala lewo to będzie waczu zobe saju don rowa chego mide ba mide de wada de temba yeba yeba chego temba chego binde na lewo shuba ribo shuba temba shuba temba shuba temba yeba temba chego wezo shuba cha chego wezo shuba sona chego jishi yezo shuba jimene zo shuba gundo wan jimene zo shuba chembo 강계에 대한 제한도 가지고 가본 매번 제매번 제번 매번 돈 매번 돈 매번 다들 되죠. 저번에 제시된 방송 배송료만 이제 더 받는 차지. So we are on the stanza number 205. So the assertions, the treatise of knowledge says space, individual, analytical cessations, non-analytical cessations are permanent and substantially exist. Any refutation of this is invalidated by your own assertions. So this is one of the non-Buddhist school. So they think that yeah. Oh, this is also Vabhashika school. So into analytical cessation and non-analytical cessations are permanent and substantial. So these proponents thinks that the space is functional things, is a substantial, and it is permanent. That space and so forth are permanent is conception of common beings. For the wise, they are not object perceived even by the convention of valid cognitions. So not understanding the significance of applying the term space to mere absence of the obstructive contact and so forth. Common people think that uncompounded space and so on are permanent, functional thing. Those who are wise concerning the suchness of the functional phenomena are far from thinking they exist ultimately. They do not regard permanent functional phenomena even as object perceived by the convention of valid cognition. Only that which does not change is the termed permanent. So their reason is to call the space as a permanent is they don't see any changes, like trees and the weather's house. They don't seem to changing, therefore it is permanent. What Sutra says is not primarily stated to establish substantial existence, but to refute the existing of the permanent functional things. So the common people always use the term permanent as something that is like, for example, if things that not has changed for a year, and people say is permanent for a year. Or someone who lives in there or for life, maybe this is a permanent resident. So in this way, it's a common, the people's understandings. It is not the, actual meaning of the permanent, they understood. So the Prasangika school, the space means absence of obstructive contact. Therefore, the absence of obstructive contact is, the phenomena is non-affirmative negation. So therefore, it is not the functional things. So it's not a functional things, it's not an impermanent nature, but it exists, therefore it is a permanent. Right? A permanent does not mean something that ultimately exists, or permanent does not mean something that objectively or intrinsically exists.
Before the stanza, this is talking about the analytical cessation and non-analytical cessation. What are those?
So in the Vaibhashika school, actually in non-Buddhist school also use the term the space as a functional and permanent. So this is space, Atma. And virtue and non-virtues are permanent, and particles are permanent. So non-Buddhist school thinks that. And the Vaibhashika school thinks that space is functional thing and it is permanent. So the Prasangika school is saying that it is not because they understood the definition of permanent. So simply they named it permanent because this is not changing like it, the functional things, like the trees, the house, and the weather, like that. There's no change in space, therefore it is permanent. So they even did not understand, did not know the actual definition of the space, which is the absence of obstructive contact. And and then they also think that in non-Buddhist school, particles, atma, space, virtue, non-virtues are all unchangeable, permanent nature, and it is ultimately exist. And some scientists also says that atoms are, indestructible or undestroyable. So same thing, the non-Buddhist school. I thought that those scientists, try to redefine the new terms and names, and they read the Vedas, So they maybe they find something. So so Prasankhya school, it is non-affirmative negation. Therefore, it is is a non-affirmative negation. Therefore, it is permanent because it has no function. And Vaibhashika school thinks that space has the function. Space has a function because space allows the airplane to fly, bird to fly, and it allows to any obstructive phenomena to kind of to take the place, take the space. Now it's a little bit debatable, I think it's debatable because the giving a space, so giving a space to the other obstructive contact phenomena, if that is the function of the space, the giving space by other obstructive contact phenomena, right? So this table can give the space for another table by moving itself. By moving itself, and allows another table to come take the space. So the question is the space is giving a space for other obstructive phenomena, or one obstructive phenomena is giving the space for another? Usually when someone's blocking you, say, please move around, I need the space. So if the space by itself is giving you the space, then you don't have to ask obstructive phenomena. So space has function and no function means space is the one that giving space to other obstructive phenomena, or the one obstructive phenomena is giving another obstructive phenomena a space. So the first space is by itself giving the space for the other obstructive phenomena. So therefore it is functional. And the space not by itself is not giving any space to other. But one obstructive phenomena can give the space for another obstructive phenomena. And the tree airplane comes, need the space, and move, and then give the space. If the space by itself is doing, and this airplane no need to move. So then the kind of taking a space by one obstructive phenomena is not the space is giving space to the another obstructive phenomena. And the space, so that's kind of here. The space is non-affirmative negation. Non-affirmative negation, and it is the permanent nature. It has no function at all. Right? So the assertion, the space is permanent because it is the omnipresent. Whatever is permanent, like a pot, is not omnipresent. Answer the following, the refute. the permanence by refuting omnipresent. It is contradictory to assert that space is omnipresent but partless. Now here they say the second 206 stanzas is, what do you call it? Rebuttal to this, the space is not ultimate nature. It is not the independent phenomena. It is not the ultimate thing. So it's also, dependent arising. It is a dependent arising. It is creation, and that therefore a single direction is not present wherever there is that which has directions. So choice, single directions is not present wherever there is that which has directions. So the space in the pot, space in the pot, space in the cup, so which has directions. The space in the pot has the direction is opposite of the space in the cup. Space in my room and the space to living room. Space in the bedroom to the living room or kitchen room, right? So each has the directions. So therefore, so there is the space is not the directionless. So therefore, it is not partless. It is with part. So that directions, and space with direction is, space with direction is created or kind of, created by depending upon obstructive phenomena, because the part is obstructive content, obstructive phenomena. So space in the part is with directions is conditioned by the part, right? So with direction is conditioned by the part. So the space is not the ultimate nature, it's not the partless, it's not the directionless. So therefore, it is not omnipresent. So it's not omnipresent, therefore it's not ultimate nature. A single direction is not present wherever there is that which has directions. That with directions, therefore, clearly also has other directional parts. It has a directional front space, the back space, left space, the right space, and your house front space and the back side space. So it's always, exist with directions. So always exists with directions. That directions, having directions, is conditioned by the obstructive nature, obstructive phenomena. The part of space, contiguous. The part of space contiguous to the eastern part is kind of the part of the space that is taking up the space as the eastern part is not the present wherever there is space which has directions.
The contiguous is sharing a border.
Yeah. So earlier we said the space in the part is not the taking a directions. It's not how's that? The space in the pot is not existing in the space in the cup. Yeah, space in the living room is not, not in the space of the bedrooms, right? So, which means the space is divided. Space can be divided. So, something you can divide it by obstructive phenomena. So, therefore, the space is not ultimate nature. It's not an ultimate nature. Clearly, also the other directions parts. So part of space contiguous, the eastern part is not the present wherever there is a space which has directions, such as where there is the western part. If it were, the western part would be in the eastern and the eastern part in the west. If to guard against such fallacies, one assert that part of the space which is in the east is not in the west. Direction of space, they very clearly must have other parts. So within the one space, like a space in the part, and the left side, the right side, and the front side, and the center. So if you can divide so many in so many ways, therefore it is not the that division is also done by obstructive phenomena. So therefore, one should not accept the permanent function of things. So if the space in the hollow in your body, the space in the stomach has the function, so it is not the permanent. It can be divided, it can be destroyed, when the whole body is, destroyed, and there's no space of the hollow in the body. The space in the part is once the part is broken, there is no longer the space in the part. So something that can be destroyed, something that can be disappear, that is conditioning by another obstructive phenomena. So therefore, space is not ultimate nature. It is not undestroyable phenomena. Sutra says, Kashyapa, permanent is one extreme, so-called impermanent is other extreme. The belief that ultimate truth is a permanent functional phenomena is foreign to this teaching. So, the revision Tathagatas the Tajibo, Medashijo and the Taniba was yes of the Tenth Metabo, Tangus of the Body, Children, Chirudujibos. So, they were saying to those Buddhist school who thinks that space is, the common locus of the permanent and the functional things. So then says, this your very idea of the space is the functional permanent phenomena is totally against the Buddha's teaching. So you are outside, you are not our people. So when the Buddha Sutra, they say Kashyapa, the permanent is one extreme. eternalisms, one of the extreme, and impermanence, the interpretation of dissipations, is another extreme. So here impermanence says, literally says impermanence, but it says the definition of the impermanence, you interpret that in dissipations, turning into non-existing is one of the extreme, and eternalism, something that exists beyond your thought, beyond beyond the reality, so which means exaggerations, right? Is true. There's a true extreme. Believe that ultimate truth are the permanent functional phenomena is foreign to this teaching. So Wabashika school is foreign to Buddhist teaching. So they are foreigners. Temporarily, taking a tour in the Buddhist teaching. So now here, the assertion of the Vedantikas and others. So Vedantikas pretty much same as the Rigvajama. Rijitavas Vedantikas. So this is very, the term is very, so the name itself, it indicating, that these people, this particular non-Buddhist school, the follower non-Buddhist schools, they don't really literally accept what Veda has said. The Gitas, Bhagavad Gitas, and Ramayanas, they don't really accept literally. So this is, what is the essence behind that? So they accept the essence of that Veda. So therefore it's Vedantika. Usually and is the end. So end of Veda. So end of Veda means the final point of the Veda. Right? So those schools. So that's called Vedantika, Vedantikas, and others. So since the time exists, functional things are seen to be start and stop. Since the time exists, when something exists, therefore things start disintegrating, things stop, and cease to exist. So, since what? Since there is a time. Since there is a time, there's the day beginning, there's the day end. Since there is the time, there is beginning of birth, and there's aging, and there's the end of the life. It's a death. Since there is a time. So now, they're trying to, separate the time from functional things. Since the time exists, functional things are seen to start and stop. It is governed by other factors, thus it is also an effect. So first it says, since time exists, functional things are seen to start and stop. Since the permanent time exists, the beginning and the growth of things like a sprout are seen. So while in the winter and so forth, although other conditions are present. So this is seen to stop. So things that grow in the summer and they stop growing or they end, being disintegrated because of the winter started. So again, because the time exists, therefore there is summer, and then there's the winter, the autumn, winter, right? So there seems to stop. So one can thereby infer the existing of the time, which moreover is permanent because of not depending on a cause. So now it's saying, at the the leaves of the tree, to begin with the color of the green and then end up in yellow and then falls from the tree. So that is conditioned by the time. So the time is not conditioned by the leaf. So we can ask, time is not conditioned by the leaf. Time is not conditioned by, aging, the birth, aging, and death. Time is not conditioned by summer, spring, autumn, winter. Time is not conditioned by day and night. Because the time exists, therefore there's day and night, summer, spring, autumn, and the winters. So, but we say opposite way, there is no independent time, and time is there because of the summer, autumn, winters. Time is there because of the day and night. Time is there because of the birth, aging, and death. So why can't they accept that? Reverse it. So one can thereby infer the existing of the time which moreover is permanent because of the not depending on cause. Answers, then it follows that the sprout and so forth are constantly produced, and there is never time when they are not produced because of the being produced by permanent cause. Yeah. If the time is independent of all of the day and night, spring, summer, autumn, winters. So time is independent from the birth, aging, and the death. And time always independent. There's no cause. Therefore, time is permanent. So now they will say, then the time, the nature of the time is permanent. So the day and night is conditioned by the permanent cause. So it's born from permanent cause, therefore is a permanent effect. So they should remain forever. Right? There's so there's the day forever, the night forever. So you choose which one you go. You want to go in the day or you want to go at night. So if you go with night and forever night, you will go, because these are all the product of the permanent cause. Or you say the cause is, nature of the cause of day and night is a permanent, but the day and night are impermanent. Right? The result is always impermanent, cause is permanent. Then from the rice, there's the barley sprout. Right? Maybe your your dog can give birth to elephant. Because they're independent. They are independent. By nature, there's an independent. So if something can be born from independent cause. So now another line, it is governed by other factors, thus it is also in effect. Then so then it follows that time too is an effect for the intermittent productions of the sprout is governed by other factors. It is governed by the factors. All the sprouts in the day and nights are governed by other factors. Sprouts are governed by other factors. Being dependent on a condition like heat and moisture, we do not assert that time is non-existing. So now he's saying, that, the ayah they were saying, so you're the kind of, time that you, the time is also why it's not the impermanent. Time is not why the time is not impermanent. Because when the day and night change by the factors, day and nights are depending on the many factors. Without the time, they cannot be changed. Without the time, time is changing with the day and night, right? Time is, right now, time is, the 3 o'clock in the afternoon, and time in the evenings, time is changing. Morning time, and noon time, afternoon time, evening time, night time. So they are constantly changing, but depending on the many factors. So why not time is impermanent like sprout? Like time is, why not time is impermanent like the weathers? Because the time is changing with them. Time is changing with day, time is changing with night, time is changing with birth and aging and death. So right, time is changing spring in the spring, summer, autumn, winter, that keep changing. So those things that winter and summers that they are changing, a change governed by change that depending on many factors. So why not time is impermanent?
So time is, when we say that, are you talking objectively? Time is objectively impermanent in that train of thought? Or
Objectively.
or imputation?
So it's a conventional, it's a conventional reality. So when we discuss with non-Buddhists in the Vajrayana school, we cannot bring emptiness. We just have to, is the common accepting that the conventional reality. So we're not talking about emptiness. So they says that time is permanent. since time exists, and then there are day and night, spring, summer, autumn, winter, the birth, aging, and death. So, and then says, the time is, why not time is impermanent? The time in night is not in time in day. Time and day change to the night. Time and day, time of the birth, the time of the aging, time of the death. So all the times are changing with birth, aging, and death. Time is changing with day and night. And those changes in the day and night is depending on the many factors. Right? So why not time is impermanent? It's not talking about emptiness or intrinsic. So time is actually changing by depending on many factors like heat and motions. So we do not assert that time is non-existing. If time is not exist, that is the exception. If time exists, it has to be impermanent. So, for it says the action of the embodied do not go to waste. Karma, your karma that committed in many lives before, the form of the karma do not go waste, do not dissipate, even in 100 years. So karma can be dissipated, or karma can be ends by completing their result, not by the time. So when the condition assemble and the time is ripe, their fruit will mature. So even the karma that is committed in the long, many lives before, and when the conditions assemble, there is a corporate conditions that can, push the karma that you have committed in many lives before, or that join with that karma, and then right time it will mature. So I think this also talking about, the time is not the permanent. Time is changing. The time you are committing the karma in the past life, and this life can change that. This life, and if the karma that is committed in the past life is negative karma, and this life, negative actions, negative intentions will, assemble with that karma that you committed in past life, and in the right time it will give a result. So if proponents of the time as a cause accept it as such, they should also accept it as an effect. So if you think the time can be cause for day and night, so they should also accept that time is also changing with day and night, therefore time is effect. Time can be cause, time is the effect. So you can say that because of the time, when there is the morning, and it will turn into noon. So if the time is cause for the morning to the noon, and the morning and noon time are the effect of that time, and that it's the effect of the those corporate conditions, those conditions. Or you can say, so yesterday time, because their disintegration, the whole process of disintegration is conditioned for the tomorrow time, right? So therefore you can say the time is cause. So today's time is going to cause for the tomorrow beginning of time. And tomorrow beginning of time is caused by today's time, and tomorrow time is the effect of the today's time. So the time is cause and effect. Then another reason, another reason to say that time can be cause, time is also the effect. So any cause without an effect, has no existing as a cause. So without effect, nothing can be cause. So therefore it follows that cause must be effect. Because of the effect, something is cause. That cause has its own cause. Therefore, that very cause is also the effect. So without the effect, it produces. The cause lacks the which established as a cause. Without effect, it produces. Without effect, without something arising, something that arises, there is no cause. And then that very thing, that very cause is also arisen from their own cause. So the cause and effect. So that everything that, every effect is cause, every cause is effect. So that every time that is a cause is still effect of their previous cause, their previous time. So lacks to establish the cause. For the establishment of the cause depends on its effect. So the identifying or the cognizing the cause is depending on effect. Without having without the effect, nothing can be cognized as a cause. Thus, since it followed that all cause must be effect, one should not accept the cause that lacks effect. So there is no something called cause without effect. So anything that accepted as a cause should be accepted as a facilitating an effect. Anything except as the cause should be accepted as a facilitating an effect. Usually, yeah, in the debate court, we debate, like, for example, like a final seconds of the butter lamp, last moment of the butter lamp, the 1 second, the last. So we say, what is the effect of that? So there is no effect after this last second of the lamp. So then say, yes, it has the effect. There is the ashes from the wick and exhaustion of the the butters. So that is also conditioned by the last second of the lamp.
Darkness also.
Yeah, so there is the effect, right? So when you burn the incense, when the incense is completely finished, but there is no dissipation. There's the smell, there's the smoke. Even the smoke is disappeared, but still when someone comes in and says, oh, I smelled something. So there's always effect. So no cause is dissipating, because the cause means it has the effect. So why I'm saying the final, the last moment of the butter lamp. So some of the Vivek school, the Siddhantic school thinks that the Arhat, the final state, the Arhat. So the next moment he will die, he will pass away. So this is, there is no continuity of that Arhat. So this is like the final state of butter lamp. So which means they kind of accepting there is the final cause which has no effect. So the cause without effect is possible. Because they always think that Arhat, when they die, so there is no continuity of body, there's no continuity of consciousness. So therefore this is called, residual, right? Nirvana. Is a strange thing, So they think this is the final achievement. So those school of thought also accept all the arahats, and then when all the arahats combine and they compare with the Buddha, they always think the Buddha is much higher. So that means those arahats hasn't really achieved the final achievement. So when they die, why they disappear? So another thing is the stanza number 209. When a cause undergoes change, it becomes the cause of something else. Anything that undergoes change should not be called permanent. So therefore, time is changing, with morning, with noon, with afternoon, with evening, and with night. Time is changing with, summer, spring, summer, autumn, winters. So anything that undergoes the changes, how can you call that as permanent? So therefore, time is not permanent. A cause such as seed act as the cause of something else, such as the sprout, through a change from before in its potency. Any functional things which changes so that its former and later movement are unalike should not be called permanent. So, the time of the seed, time of the sprout, and the size and the colors, they're all changing. Milk to the yogurt, they're all changing. The youth to the old age, they're all changing. So when things are changing and their time is also changing with them, and how can you call it as a permanent? Thus, one should not accept the permanent time and so forth as a cause. Either you should, so two options. You say the time is permanent and, it is not the cause, or it is the cause, therefore it is impermanent. So you have, there is no other options. So you cannot say the time is permanent and it cause. So a thing with a permanent cause is produced by that which has not come into being. So there is nothing, no effect that produced by the permanent cause. So whatever happened by itself cannot have cause. Any effect that is born from itself or by itself, and then this effect should not have any cause. So any effect is not born by itself, not exists by itself, because it is conditioned by the cause. So any cause that can be, once it undergoes the changing, and then it brings the effect. So therefore, that thing cannot be permanent. That cause cannot be permanent. So in this way, that if the time is there as a cause, so when the time undergoes change, therefore it brings the result. When the time is changing, and how can that be permanent? So by definitions, the impermanence is instant changing. Anything that changes has to be impermanent. And at the same time, impermanent does not mean the dissipation or the disappearing or becoming non-existent, because impermanent is the cause. Cause means potential to give rise to the result. It has the result. Without a result, without effect, nothing can be cause. So yes, the effect should not be born by itself. Effect should not come into being, produced by permanent cause. If one does not accept that time too changes, it follows that the functional things, such as a sprout, whose cause is whose cause is unchanging permanent time, has come about of its own accord, because the being produced by a cause has not come into being. Whatever happened by itself cannot have the producing cause, since its dependence and the cause is, inadmissible. Invisible, right?
It's not allowed.
So jume tu tawa nyugu la suba kanga juye me nyugu ngobo te majume. Juwa mebe tu tawa nyugu la suba juye majume juli jewa rawa da juba te wa uus. Ranyi rawa juba juya. So, yeah, it's clear that says that any effect is not going to be exist as an effect, by depending on the permanent cause. The effect must not be produced by itself, because effect is the result of the cause. Now this is 211. Now the opponent has, their they have changed their opinion now. So they says, oh, now I accept, yes, the time is changing. The changes of the times I accept, but still I'm going to say time is permanent. So it's something permanently changing. Yeah, some people may say that, How can that which is produced by the permanent thing be impermanent? Never are the two, the cause and effect, seem to have, incongruent characteristic. So permanent and impermanent is the, what we call dichotomy. They're opposite. So if something is changing, therefore impermanent, and how can that be permanent? So the permanent and the impermanent has a, totally different function, different meaning, different characteristics. The characteristic of impermanent is instantly changing. The permanent is not changing. Yeah, sometimes people may think, oh, the time is always forever changing, because of forever changing, forever, it's doing forever, so therefore it's permanent. So it's a kind of, So how can functional things such as sprout be impermanent? How can functional things such as sprout be impermanent, it follows that they are not, because being produced by that which is permanent. So now question here is, how can, sprout is impermanent because it's the product of permanent time. So their cause is permanent, unchanging. So how can sprout being changing, as a result of unchanging cause? So this can apply to the, Ishvara. So Ishvara is the permanent, therefore Ishvara is not changing at all, is a permanent nature. So how can Ishvara produce something that constantly changing, since he himself is not changing at all? If he is permanent and changing, so that is the, two opposite characters in one functional thing. So this entailment follows because the cause and effect are never seen to have incongruent, right, characteristics, in that one is permanent and others impermanent. So now this has done about the space and the time as a permanent. Now the Vaisasikas assertions, we call Chadaba or Ripachama. So they, as I mentioned, they says space, Atma, space and then self, space, self, or I, and the particles and the virtues, non-virtues are all permanent. So the permanent particles of the four elements activated by the force of karma from the substantial entity of composite, producing the environmental world and so forth. So the world and the people or sentient beings in that world are conditioned by the permanent cause, which is the particles. So particles, and then what caused the particle to make this, planet and the sentient beings? This is because of it forced by sentient beings' karma. So environmental world and so forth. The answer that is incorrect, for it follows that when particles are said, can you read it for me?
Coalesce.
Particles coalesce and form a composite and increases size and impossible if there is total interpretations. If some parts coalesce, those that do not cause, while those that do not are not cause. So Duden Kanga Chok Kang Yala the Juyin Shi is a Chok and Jumani Bichiris. Can I Duden de Chanazu to the Juna? Goes and Juna the Mobataga Bichis Ocean. Beribatas. Chanazu Bichiris. So when the particles move by or kind of collective, the particles gather, right? Gather, which is forced by the karma. So now it says when they gather, so all of the particles are the permanent. So they are joined because of the force of the sentient beings, the karma. So here is saying, now are you saying this the gathering of the particles are impermanent? So this has, and the one part it is impermanent, one part is permanent. So their total nature is the permanent, their gather is impermanent. So it's kind of like, permanent playing impermanent, the characters. Because the permanent particles are, forced together by the coming force. So yeah, that of which some sides are cause, and while other sides are not, thereby multifarious varieties there. How can that which is multifarious be permanent? So you say those particles are not the cause, and their gatherings is the cause. So one part. And then the question is, if the particles, they collectively join, so then it become the form. So when it's become the form, it can be visible form. It can be hear, it can be smell, it can be taste. Right? So then, because of they are object of the sense of perceptions, they are keep changing. So when they formed, become impermanent. When they remain separate, become permanent. So there's a kind of something something unusual. So first, the permanent particles play the impermanent. Permanent particles, their collisions, right? They join is become the impermanent.
A little bit of a contradiction.
Yeah. So many permanent together become impermanent. So if they want to live longer, they have to be separate. So, and the reality, there's a particle in the atom, the size and their shape, the measurements are never done by any physical things. It is all conceptually, it's a deductive, deductive form. So this is the deductive form that is deducted by the mind, not by measuring, any physical measuring. So So there is no such thing, the particles by themselves, by themselves remain or by themselves survive independently. If there is the particles as the independent by themselves, and then you can say, yeah, they are permanent. And then if you say, oh, they are independent because it's deductive, deductively identified in the atoms, the particles, the molecules. So these are then the question is there any one element that could remain, exist independently without depending on other elements? So the four elements are also divided and deducted by the mind. Right. So then you have to say the four elements are nature is permanent, because our mentally we are dividing, the potential of this earth, potential of the water, potential of the wind, and the the heat. So any heat could exist independent, without depending on other elements. If not, and there is no permanent element, so therefore there is no particles which is surviving without depending on other particles. But conceptually, yeah, they're separate entity. They are all kind of, identified in a single unit is a conception. So they don't really see the mentally, constructed nature, or it is independent phenomena. So they have the confusions. Maybe because of that, so they like the body is deteriorating and disintegrating and finally, turn into the elements. So, but the persons is a conceptually imagine or the conceive, goes to this life to the next life. So there's a something conceptual entity that goes from this life to the next life. This life, the body as disappears, it turns into the ashes and turns into the elements. So maybe they think, oh, there's something going. That is the permanent. So anything they could not really cognize, and anything that accepted to be existing, and they always say this is the permanent. So I think maybe that is the reason they think Ishvara is permanent, because they cannot see Ishvara as changing, but they accept Ishvara as exist. That's very, very profound, stupid. The profound is just stupid, and they're very clever. Because when you say my body, so me and my body, the body you see getting ill and sick, but you don't see. There's a self apart from the body, they're getting sick and ill. So then you can say, yeah, that I am is permanent. That's really, maybe one of the reasons they think that the time is permanent is, so they always think there will be a time in the futures I become someone, right? And there was a time that I have a reason, I have a potential to be something. So they think now time is coming to here. This time that I'm going, the time to make me something else, someone else, something else. So, this time will go and bring that person. So therefore, the time in me is separate. So the changes that I can see through the experience is in me, this body, present. I don't see the changes in my conceptualize the phenomena. So I can say that's permanent. So that's that's what I'm saying. It's very, profoundly confused. So their confusion is very, very subtle and very profound. And the one reason is they are quite confusion is because they could not really make distinctions, mental projections and sensual experience. They don't really see the difference there. In the mental object and sensual object. So then you can say also, Americans people in America. There are many American peoples that die and born. America is always there. So therefore, I would say America is permanent. The people of America is impermanent. Right? That's very, very. Pomona's house, Pomona's citizens, Pomona's people, Pomona's highways. The Pomona is always permanent, and the highway is impermanent. The peoples are impermanent, house are impermanent. The Pomona's texts are impermanent. The Pomona is all permanent. who need the text from the Pomona's people are impermanent. One who need the text to collect for Pomona is permanent. That's quite stupid. Yeah, that's very stupid. Maybe that's the idea of, how to say, sometimes it's like blind faith. That's a blind faith in religion, in intellectual. There's a blind faith. So maybe you can say the car and car's engine, car's cover, car's wheels. So the engines, the covers are impermanent. The car is permanent. If there is, if the engines, the wheels, and the cover, all the impermanent, so therefore, car has to be impermanent. So the time of morning, time of noon, time of afternoon, so they are impermanent. Therefore, time is impermanent. So any collections, any composite, right, as a composite phenomena, as a form to see, the form to hear, the form to smell, form to taste, and the texture, the feel, and all of them is impermanent. Therefore, the collections are impermanent too. Sometimes, your wisdom, your incomplete wisdom can make you, put you in very deep confusion. You have wisdom, there's uncooked wisdoms that, cause people to be confused. So medium cooked wisdoms, half cooked wisdom, full cooked wisdoms. So, yeah, any other questions? Any questions? Okay. My stomach may keep me. Okay. Chanju semjo rinpoche ma jeba na jeju je jeba nyamba meba nyam honor pewa. Ponye tawa rinpoche ma jeba na jeju je jeba nyamba meba nyam honor pewa. Pama semjen tamje deda deju je ngedo tamje tawa to. Chanju semba kama sushu be tada kunje molom jukje. Karera roko vishi na zo pena dewa malun ju. Jere sowa dinze jadu ye shebe side bado denju.
May the precious body light not yet on horizon grow. May the bone have no decline but increase forevermore. May the precious mind realizing emptiness not yet on horizon grow. May the bone have no decline but increase forevermore. Due to all these merits, may all Father and Mother sentient beings have all the happiness, and may all lower realms be empty forever. Wherever there are bodhisattvas, may all their prayers be accomplished immediately. In the sacred land surrounded by snow mountains, you are the source of all benefit and happiness, all powerful Trinity in the universe. Remain in this world until samsara ends.
Thank you.